Wall Street, the Great Depression, 1929. Tutankhamun's board game. Senate, 1333 BC, Egypt. In the 1940s, car seats for children were incredibly dangerous. A rare negative reveals Times Square NYC in color, 1948. Cecil Williams, civil rights and gay rights activist, drinking from a white-only water fountain in North Carolina, 1956. An ad for a massager to soothe neck and shoulder muscles, 1971. World's largest log cabin, Portland, Oregon, 1938, built in 1905, burned down in 1964. Slavic immigrant at Ellis Island, New York, 1907, filled with anticipation for a new beginning. Before and after, former president of Ukraine, Viktor Yushchenko, before and after surviving an assassination attempt via poisoning, 2004. And Bassett Willis, 1904. Lufthansa business class in 1926, the flight attendant helps a lady get into a Fokker relic fee of the Lufthansa. Shack of WWI war veteran with view along Nueces Bay, Corpus Christi, Texas, 1938, photo by Russell Lee. Protest in Tehran, Iran, around 1985. Characters from the Kagan interlude of the play Emma Tokyo, Japan, circa 1926-1927. Please wash it and leave it here. American women donating nylon stockings to the Army, strong, lightweight and dense. They were perfect for making powder bags for Artillery USA, 1944. A farmer caught a wild pig eating his dogs, Australia, 1980. Passengers on board the Staten Island ferry in 1895. Pepsi logo, 1898 to 2023. 38-year-old scientist who helped determine the fate of the world, 1940s. Muhammad Ali stops a suicidal man from jumping, 1981. Minoru Yamasaki, the Japanese-American architect of the World Trade Center, with his models of the Twin Towers in 1971. A warden at the Women's City Prison and his charges, New Orleans, 1963. Bride and her bridesmaids, 1930s. Phone booth packing was a 1950s fad whereby a bunch of people crammed themselves into a telephone booth. PM Benjamin Netanyahu and President Ronald Reagan, 1992. Clint, Eli Wallach, Lee Van Cleef and Sergio Leone sharing a laugh on the set of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, 1966. Flight attendant for the German airline Lufthansa serving draft beer from a wooden barrel and ham on a flight, circa 1963. My grandfather Carpectel Jr., 1940s. Lauren Cole, Miss Fabulous Frankfurter, is wrapped up in her work at the Hotel Wellington, NYC, where she was crowned Frankfurter Queen by Hebrew National, 1956. A war veteran looks at the painting Traces of War, 1964, Moscow, Russian SFS or photograph, Sergei Lidov. Stalled on the desert, facing a future in California, no money, 10 children from Chickasaw, Oklahoma, Southern California, 1937. A Soviet soldier directs traffic at the Brandenburg Gate, Berlin, 1945. On this day, the Balfour Declaration was signed, wherein Britain pledged to establish a national home for the Jewish people in Mandatory Palestine, 1917. One of the early portable phones from 1973, Motorola. A member of the Women's Royal Army Corps shows her new tattoo to her fellow servicemen, UK, 1943. Coca-Cola, 1886. Street style in Berkeley, California in 1971. Portrait of an Arab woman wearing a traditional face mask in Muscat, Oman, 1905. Early use of a selfie stick in the 1940s. This photo is 113 years old. It was taken by Sergei Prokudin-Gorsky, an early pioneer of color photography. A 10 megabytes hard drive, priced at $3,495, July 1980. HMS Ambrose in dazzle camouflage, circa 1918. Niagara Falls without water, 1969. The first photograph taken by Elsie Wright in 1917 shows her cousin Frances Griffiths with the alleged Cottingley fairies. Photo for American veterans from for different wars. Train over the Rio Grande in 1915. Buffalo Bill and his Indian Wild West show in Venice, Italy, April 1890. Rabbit wearing a German medal 1939 to 1945. A Senegalese tirailleur of the French army chats with locals in Alsace, 1939. Big Choutam, a veteran of every war since the Crimea, is ready to join the Balkan army and fight again. He wears a mix of military uniforms and seeks food and shelter at an American Red Cross station, explaining that the peace had brought evil times upon him. November 1919. Carriers of the New Black Plague, 1938. Plague is dictatorship. A grocery store clerk in Tallahassee, Florida, 1962. Wild Bill Hickok, 1871. 1954. Cats stand up on their hind legs to catch squirts of milk during milking at a dairy farm. Prince Charles at a celebration in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, 1978. For an hour, this kneeling Turk has argued over the price of a garment by the difference of one pastor coin with a Christian lady. Spectators watch with interest. City of Skopje, Kingdom of Serbs, Croats, and Slovenes, December 1919. A U.S. soldier shares chocolate and cigarettes with a local Japanese girl, 1946. A French soldier with a gladiator folding bicycle, 1910s. High school senior Vin Diesel, 1985. The Huffy radio bicycle from the 1950s. Horses pull a huge sled of logs in late 1800s, Oregon State Archives. A boy from Bessarabia with a worn hat and overcoat. He hasn't had any clothes in 5 years and has had to do his own mending. He doesn't know what happened to his parents. Having been lost in a refugee movement, he insisted on holding his old overcoat and the new pair of American shoes. 1919. Rita Hayworth, 1945. Photographed by Peter Stackpole. French children enjoying their unique toy guillotine in 1959. Easter Bunny costumes were absolutely horrifying in the 1950s. A poor family from Alabama who were presented as celebrities due to escaping the effects of hookworm disease, which was brought upon by Geophagia clay eating. 1913. The last picture of Elmira Sanchez alive after her legs were pinned by debris after a volcanic eruption, 1985. A photo of Yosif Vissarionovich Djugashvili as a schoolboy. He would become one of the most infamous people in all of history, under the name Joseph Stalin. Anthony Daniels, the actor who played C-3PO in Star Wars, stops for a smoke in between takes, 1977.